What's going on, guys? Defy Shadows here with another Destiny video. Today I wanted to talk about skill-based matchmaking. It seems like the whole community has been, talking about skill-based matchmaking, whether they hate it or they like it or it's good, it's bad. And I don't really have the perfect answers, and I've seen a lot of suggestions, and some of them I like, some of them I don't, but I just wanted to kind of give my perspective on it as someone who's not great. So this is going to be, I guess, the perspective of one person, of me, as someone who's kind of on the bottom of the crucible. I have a 1.0 KD, so I'm not the worst, but I'm definitely not good. So let's get right into it. The first thing I wanted to talk about was that for me, I personally, I really want to get better at the Crucible. I really enjoy it. I practice all the time. I play a lot of Rumble, because I feel like I improve a little bit faster. I try to play private matches with my friends. I try to work on, getting special and heavy. I try to work on different techniques all the time, and sometimes I just feel like I'm not really going anywhere, and I know part of that's part of improving. Sometimes you just hit a plateau and you're not gonna improve very fast, but I just feel like there's only so many people like in kind of a narrow range that I can get paired up against with skill-based matchmaking. And so playing, I have a 1.0 KD, so if I play against somebody that has like a 1.2 KD, that's good, and I'll probably learn something, probably get my butt kicked. But if I could play against somebody with maybe like a 1.8 or a 2.0, I would even play against somebody with like a 3.5 just to see. I would just be curious about what the difference is, because I'm sure there's a huge one. I'm sure they would just play circles around me if I tried to play against somebody with a KD that high. But I think it would be a good experience. It would be good for me to sort of have those mistakes that I make regularly without even knowing it, thrown back in my face by somebody who's not gonna fall for it, and not, who's gonna play circles around me when I make certain mistakes. So that's one thing I don't really like. I understand without skill-based matchmaking it's completely random, and I could get paired against people with like a 0.7 KD, and I would probably just stomp them, and then I could get paired up against it's top 1% of players, and they would absolutely stomp me, and I might not learn a lot, but I just think it would be a good experience for me to play with people who are significantly better than me, more than I can get paired up with in skill-based matchmaking. And the next point I kind of wanted to make is, in Kuch's video, most of you guys probably know him. He's a really good player. He's one of the best players, and I like his videos because I like to watch his gameplay. I feel like I learn a lot from him. One point that he made in his video on this topic was that trials for the top 1% of players is kind of backwards right now, because it's the thing that has the least skill-based matchmaking or no skill-based matchmaking. And so for the top 1% of players, trials is the easiest thing, because if they go into a rumble match, they're gonna face other top 1% players, whereas if they go into trials, it's random and they can probably just pub stomp, is the impression I got from his video. So and I think that is backwards. Trials is supposed to be this in-game super competitive PvP option, right? So that's definitely backwards, but I kind of wanted to go into my perspective on it. And that's that, when I go into a rumble match, I might have to sweat my balls off, but I can probably win that match. I win a pretty good amount of my rumble matches when I'm just hanging out playing by myself. Obviously when I play with other people, their stats and their KD can influence the opponents that we get, which is another thing I'm going to talk about in a second. But when I go into trials, it's random, man. We could get players that we can just stomp all over, or we can literally get people that just play circles around us, and it's probably because they're a lot better. And I just got unlucky that match, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with having people play circles around me, because it tells me, again, it tells me that you know, I have a lot of room to improve, and I sort of see that gap, but, you know, it would be nice if I could, I don't know, control that a little more. You know, Trials isn't really the place that I have in mind for, you know, practicing and working on skills. Trials of Osiris is you know, it's more of an in-game activity. I'm trying to get rewards. That's not really the point, I guess. The point I was trying to make is that, you know, for a player like me, Trials is almost impossible because, you know, opposite of the 1% of players where it's too easy, for somebody like me where there's no skill-based matchmaking, it's impossible because, you know, I can go up against one of those top-tier players and just absolutely get shit on, and sometime, you know, in the matches you need to go flawless, that's probably going to happen, is I'm probably going to play either somebody who's doing a carry, a double carry, or, you know, an account recovery, or just really good players. And so it makes it almost impossible for the bottom tier of players to even attempt it. And, you know, it's not something like the raid where you can kind of get the mechanics down and practice and you'll get it. You know, PvP is something that takes a long time to improve at. You can't just, you know, practice Trials for a couple of weeks and instantly be in the top 1% of players. Believe me, I've tried. So that's kind of what I wanted to say on that. And then the next thing I want to talk about is matchmaking with friends who have fairly different stats than you. So I want to tell you, when Taken King first came out, my KD was around 0.8, so I have improved since then, and I wasn't, you know, completely focused on Crucible that whole time, but the first Iron Banner in Taken King, I remember I played with my friend who has about a 1.3 KD, or had at that time, and I was just getting slaughtered. I was, you know, bottom 3, bottom place every single match, every single game, you know, going negative, you know, 0.3, 0.2, 0.1 even sometimes, and just completely getting my ass kicked. And it didn't really make sense to me because, you know, I hadn't really been a PvP player in year 1 too much. You know, I played a little, and I played Trials, and I played Iron Banner, but when I played Iron Banner, I didn't really notice, you know, that kind of just wall that I came up against when Taken King started. And, you know, usually I would bounce around. Sometimes I would do good, sometimes I would do bad, of course. But when Taken King first came out, it felt like there was this wall when I was playing with my friend, who I almost always played with anyway, because he's a good friend of mine. And so I just, you know, it just completely made me not even want to play, because it felt unfair. It felt like, you know, the odds were completely stacked against me. And then, you know, recently I played with a couple of friends who have like around a 0.8 KD, and I will just destroy everyone in the lobby because, you know, I guess they bring like the average down. I don't exactly know how it measures the stats for the game, you know, so I'm not an expert on it, but, you know, I just feel like, but if they play with me, you know, they're gonna have a tough time. They might get destroyed because I'm bringing their lobby up in skill, and they're bringing my lobby down in skill now. So I just think that's kind of it's not great, you know. So, you know, if I had a friend who had like a 3.5 KD and I tried to play with them on a team, I would probably just get massacred. I would probably improve faster, true, but I would probably get massacred. But anyways, guys, those are my thoughts on the issue. Coming from, you know, a layman, I guess you could say, with a, you know, 1.0 KD, not too great at Crucible. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. Do you like skill-based matchmaking? Do you hate it? And if you want to keep up on my channel, feel free to subscribe. If you liked the video, drop a like. If you didn't like it, drop a dislike. You can also follow me on Twitter @DefyShadows, or check out my streams at twitch.tv/DefyShadows. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.